when you talk to an auto analyst, selling cars to a rental car company from an automotive perspective is done from a point of weakness, not strength.
Hello, Oracles. Oracle Tim here from Oracle Investments. Today, we're going to watch the best, the greatest of all time, the highlight of my life, Gordon Johnson, and the most wonderful and spectacular things this man has to say about Tesla, because he is such a huge fan. Now, before we dive into the hilarity that is about to ensue, please subscribe to this channel and like if you enjoy these videos. Also, I do have a link down in the description for public.com. I invest in that for my son. Every time he scores a soccer goal, I put $5 into it. If he gets an A on his grades, another $5. If he improves his grades, another $5. And if you would like to get up to $70 of free stock for yourself, hit that link down below and you can get that. Thank you very much. Let's get to it.
Gene, my first question for you is: you look at all the other automakers, and you look at their valuations relative to Tesla. Are they all undervalued?
No, I don't think so. And this is
you think they're properly valued, and Tesla's properly valued?
Well, let me back up. Is that I think that there are pockets for some of these other automakers. Obviously, Ford has done a great job. I think that there can be companies can turn around. They can get a tailwind within this. So if you look at the broader industry, I don't think that the broader auto industry is undervalued. I think there are companies within that. I think you're going to see some companies that have been around for 100 years that will be a fraction of what they are in a decade. And
Gene here is expressing something that I have been saying all along, which is these legacy automotive makers have such a giant hill to climb when it comes to overcoming and changing their whole business model. It's not just a matter of, they can build from scratch and go up. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. They literally have to turn their entire business inside out. And by the time they do that, they're going to be so far behind. They're just going to be a shell of their former selves. And that's if they survive.
So I think I'm not trying to be cute with the answer, but I think there are pockets where some will surge. But as a net, I think the auto industry is going to struggle with this transition. And just quickly regarding Tesla and its valuation, it is, as someone who takes a very measured approach to valuation, it seems absurd that we're at $1 trillion. And what may seem more hard to believe is I believe this can be a $2.5 trillion company. And let me just quickly frame that in 5 years. Granted, it's a ways away, but this can be, we can go from 70 billion to 400 billion in revenue, a 6.5 multiple on that, which is hardware, software, services, Apple-like multiple, is that $2,500 stock. And so I think there's still room for upside with Tesla. I think we're going to be having this conversation for years to come.
And Gene is spot on here. I can easily see Tesla becoming a $2.5 trillion company within the next 5 years. And personally, I don't think Tesla is going to be the first company to the 3 trillion, but I do believe that they will be the first company to 4 trillion. I'm going to put down the 2027 mark for the $4 trillion price tag on Tesla. And if you take a quick notice of that little frame that they had there with Meta, because Facebook is now Meta, I think that's going to play into something Tesla is going to be doing in the future as well. So keep that in mind.
Gordon, I want to ask you a separate question, which is you seem to dismiss the Hertz news. And I think a number of Tesla investors look at that Hertz news and say, you know what, for Hertz to do this, they're going to have to build out a lot more infrastructure. And once you get that infrastructure, you get lock-in. It's all about lock-in. So it's not just a one-time story. It makes it actually much more difficult the next time Hertz has to make a decision between buying more Teslas or buying somebody else's vehicle. They pick Tesla. Do you not agree with that?
Now, this is an excellent point here. And, for a company like Hertz, they're obviously buying 100,000 vehicles. That's huge. And that, they said, could possibly be 200,000. They're also investing heavily in charging stations. So they're investing in the infrastructure behind all of this. So it would make absolutely no sense for Hertz to go backwards and then go back to ICE vehicles. So going forward, they're all in on EVs. And as of right now, it's Tesla. Maybe they'll dabble in other things in the future, but I mean, they went with the best of the best and they're building an infrastructure around that. So they're going to continue with that going forward.
No, I agree with that.
You agree with that? Is that a Freudian slip? Oops.
And I don't agree with that. Let me explain why. So first of all, again, we don't know what the terms are on this deal. Typically, first of all, when an auto company sells to a rental car company, typically that's done from a point of weakness, not strength, because you have to do it at a discount. And you also have to basically buy those cars back after a number of years.
Well, clearly Gordon hasn't passed first grade reading, because for anybody who can read, they have seen that they're buying the cars for $42,000 each, which, by the way, is market list price. There is no discount that Hertz is getting on this. Secondly, selling them back, well, if you also look at the fact that Hertz is going to be selling all of their other old cars to Carvana going forward, pretty sure they're not going to be having to buy back the cars from Hertz. Tesla's going to be fine. Oh, and let's see, what is the resale value on these Teslas? Oh, that's right, it's significantly higher than any ICE vehicle out there. So when they do sell it to Carvana, they're going to make the majority of their money back. Way to go, Gordon.
Number one. Number two, it's only 100,000 cars rumored. We don't know the full terms of the deal. That's a one-time purchase. That's $500 million. The company has added $200 billion in market cap.
I mean, he says it's a rumored deal, but the Hertz CEO has confirmed that this is happening and has also confirmed that this is only the initial purchase, and has also confirmed that if things go well and there's high demand, they'll double the order to 200,000.
And then number three, when you say they have to build infrastructure, all of these charging networks are open up to all cars.
Yes, you are correct. The infrastructure is going to be open to all cars. And that makes a difference in the valuation of Tesla and how good this deal is, the same way that the color of grass is changing the way this whole deal is. There's no correlation whatsoever in that.
So I think that's important. And I want to address what Gene said when he says just look at the numbers. I would argue the same thing. Listen, in the third quarter, for the first time ever, BYD sold more electric cars than Tesla battery electric cars in China. And globally, in the third quarter, for the first time, VW sold more electric cars than Tesla. And Tesla only sold 241,000 cars in Q3. GM sells 2 million. Toyota sells 2.7 million. And Tesla's, so their sales increased by 41,000 cars, and they're only going to increase those sales by roughly 13,000 cars in the fourth quarter. So you're talking about traditional automakers selling millions of cars versus Tesla selling 241,000 cars, and that growth slowing materially.
I think Gordon really needs to get his glasses checked, because his sight is about here. He can't see past his own face. I mean, yes, legacy automakers are making 2.3 million vehicles a year versus Tesla's 241,000. But what directions are they going? Tesla's going up, ICE is coming down. And even if these legacy automakers are starting to make electric vehicles, their ICE vehicles are still coming down, and they've got to ramp up EVs. And by the way, eventually it will be the whole entire automotive industry will be EVs. And at that point, guess who's going to be in the lead? That's right, Tesla.
Market share. Europe, their market share has dropped from 33% to 12%. The US, their market share has dropped from 86% to 66% with no competition. And China, their market shares went from 23% to 11%.
I am really waiting for somebody to call him out on this BS about the market share thing. Like, duh, even Tesla bulls are saying, yes, they're going to lose market share. That's just the nature of how numbers work, dummy. That's it. And not only that, but it's not an EV market share. It's automotive industry. And they're taking over that because it doesn't matter if they lose market share in the EV, because they're still gaining and taking over total automotive industry market share. This guy.
So when you see competition coming, they're losing market share. So this idea that they have this significant upside, the numbers actually speak completely different to that. So when Gene says they're going to go to millions of cars sold, the numbers just don't support that.
Yes. Tesla selling 241,000 vehicles in a quarter does not support the fact that they're going to sell millions, because I know when GM and Ford were founded, they were making millions of vehicles right off the start.
And again, when you sell to a rental fleet, any automotive analyst will tell you, Tesla is a car company. It's not a software company. 95% of their revenues come from selling cars. Their other two divisions are hemorrhaging cash and have for quarters. When you talk to an auto analyst, selling cars to a rental car company from an automotive perspective is done from a point of weakness, not strength.
I'm just going to take another moment to call Gordon out on his BS here. So what he's saying is that any car company that sells vehicles to a rental company is doing so out of a point of weakness. So you're telling me that all of the car manufacturers that he is supporting, these legacy automakers who have sold massive fleets to these rental companies, all did so because of weakness, right? Interesting. So he basically just admitted that all of the legacy automakers are weak and have been weak for a long time.
So I think they do have demand problems. I think we're going to see that play out through 2022. They have no new cars, and they have a ton of competition coming. So I don't think you're going to see this tremendous growth in their auto sales. And I also think they recognize some of those sales from the Hertz deal in Q3, which is why the numbers surprised to the upside. Let's see what happens in Q4.
Yes, Gordon. Let's see what happens in Q4. And not just with Tesla, but with the legacy automakers as well. Really curious as to what's going to happen. Personally, I think Tesla's going to prove themselves. They've got 2 new factories ramping up. They're going to be producing upwards of 2 million vehicles next year. And next year, while they have no new cars coming out, which by the way is also a lie because Cybertruck is coming out next year, and they're going to announce the Model 2, whatever it's going to be, for 2023. And they're also going to be announcing another vehicle next year. Hint, hint. So yeah, there's plenty going on for Tesla next year. Plenty of things that are going to be pushing this stock forward even more. And, legacy automakers have a long and arduous hill to climb to catch them. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support in helping me grow this channel. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. I really appreciate that. Like this, sign yourself up for some notifications, and we will see you later.